The story opens with a middle-class family: David, a hard-working father, Sarah, a caring mother, and their 8-year-old son, Ethan. They live in a quiet suburban neighborhood. One afternoon, while Ethan is playing in the park, a masked figure kidnaps him in broad daylight. The kidnappers leave a cryptic note: "We don't want your money. To get your child back, you must bring us another child. You have 72 hours. David and Sarah are horrified, unsure if this is a sick joke or a real threat. The police are sympathetic but overwhelmed. They warn David that kidnappers like these are often part of a larger trafficking ring and that time is critical. David begins to feel the weight of the impossible choice ahead. David becomes obsessed with saving Ethan. He starts researching similar cases and discovers that the kidnappers are part of a secret network that trades children for unknown purposes. The police have no leads, and David feels like he's running out of options. David begins to consider the kidnappers' demand. He wrestles with the moral implications: how can I take another child? But how can I let Ethan die? Sarah is horrified by the idea and begs him not to go through with it. David identifies a potential target, a neglected child from a troubled family in their neighborhood. He rationalizes that this child might not be missed as much and that he's doing it to save Ethan. He begins to stalk the child, observing their routines and planning the abduction. David's mental state deteriorates as he struggles with guilt and fear. He has nightmares about Ethan and visions of the other child's face. Sarah notices his erratic behavior and begins to suspect that he's planning something terrible. David carries out the unthinkable. He kidnaps the child, leaving behind a note for the parents that mirrors the one he received. The child is terrified, and David struggles with guilt but pushes forward, telling himself it's for Ethan. David follows the kidnappers' instructions, taking the child to a remote location. The kidnappers, masked and menacing, inspect the child and seem satisfied. They hand over Ethan, who is unharmed but traumatized. David is relieved but haunted by what he's done. David returns home with Ethan, but the guilt consumes him. He becomes paranoid, fearing that the police or the other child's family will discover his crime. Sarah notices his erratic behavior and begins to suspect the truth. The story shifts to the family of the kidnapped child. Their grief and desperation mirror what David and Sarah went through. The police investigate, and David realizes that his actions have created a cycle of pain. David's guilt becomes unbearable. He confesses to Sarah, who is devastated but torn between her love for him and her horror at what he's done. She urges him to turn himself in, but David fears losing everything. David decides to confess to the police, knowing it will destroy his family but hoping it will end the cycle. As David sits in the police station, the kidnappers are revealed to be part of a larger, more sinister organization. They orchestrated the entire scenario to test David's morality and recruit him into their network. They approach him in the police station, offering him a deal: join them, or they will harm his family. David is torn between turning himself in and protecting his family. He realizes that the kidnappers have been watching him all along and that his actions were part of their plan. He must decide whether to expose the organization or play along to keep his family safe. David agrees to join the organization, but he secretly plans to bring them down from within. He gains their trust, learning about their operations and the children they've taken. Meanwhile, Sarah begins to uncover the truth and works with the police to expose the organization. In a chilling final scene, David is shown leading a new recruit through the same moral dilemma he faced. The cycle continues, proving that the organization's influence is far-reaching and that David's actions have only perpetuated the cycle of violence. David wakes up in a cold sweat, his heart pounding. He looks around and realizes he's in a small, cluttered dorm room. His friend, Mike, shakes him awake, saying, "Dude, wake up. It's graduation day." David is disoriented, struggling to separate the dream from reality. David attends his university graduation, still haunted by the vivid dream. As he walks across the stage to receive his diploma, he sees familiar faces from his dream: Sarah, Ethan, and even the neglected child in the audience. He freezes, unsure if he's still dreaming. After the ceremony, David confides in Mike about the dream. Mike laughs it off, saying, "You've been under a lot of stress, man. It's just your brain messing with you." But David can't shake the feeling that the dream was more than just a nightmare. David decides to visit the park from his dream, where Ethan was kidnapped. He finds a small playground, eerily similar to the one in his dream. As he sits on a bench, a child approaches him, holding a toy that looks just like Ethan's.